Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Buddy Gran, and these are my hobbies. Now from time to time, a group of friends and I will get together and we'll play a little Dungeons and Dragons campaign. However, with everyone's schedules, right, we got family, we got other hobbies, work and stuff like that, it's hard to line up a consistent schedule, and it doesn't really scratch my itch for delving into the Dungeons and Dragons worlds, right? So what I'm going to attempt to do is scratch that itch by playing a little bit of solo Dungeons and Dragons. Now it takes away a lot of what makes Dungeons and Dragons special with a group, right? When you're bouncing off of each other, you're riffing, there's jokes, there's laughter, right? You got a couple drinks going. That's the fun part about the group stuff. I find the fun part about the solo stuff is just kind of uncovering the story, right? It's the same feeling I get from when I'm reading books and I'm discovering a world, I'm discovering characters, all this kind of stuff. It's very interesting to me. So I get that same feeling from trying to play solo. It's a little bit more engaging to me as a person because I don't know what the dice are going to bring up, right? You're at the whim of these dice, and that's what makes things pretty interesting to me. So you get to uncover the characters. Sometimes you come up with roles you don't want, and it'll veer the story in another direction, or it'll veer a character in another direction. And sometimes it's, just some random cool things happen that you're not expecting. So we're going to attempt that. We're going to use a few tools at our disposal. I've got all three of the 5.5 editions, 5th edition, Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual. We're going to use some of that. We're going to use some online resources as well as some feedback, right? If anyone has any comments or anything like that, they have ideas for things, shout them out and we'll try to incorporate them if we can. For the most part, I'm going to try to follow the rules as best as I can and not just like make it all willy-nilly. I don't want to, if there's a scenario where somebody dies and I want them to live, I just let them live. I don't want that to happen, right? If I want to play it as per the rules as I can get. So if my characters die, they die. We try to make up a new one. We keep the world going, right? I want this to be a bit of a creative exercise, kind of like puzzle solving and whatnot. And we're just going to see what kind of a story we can shape up and make with some rolls of the dice. So with that said, we'll jump into it. So today's focus, kind of session 1, we're going to be doing some character creation. I'm thinking I'm going to run 2 characters. I feel like that should be enough to kind of manage and whatnot, especially with all the little logistics rules and whatnot they have for your players. So we're going to be doing in the Player's Handbook today, we're going to be doing some character creation. I think we'll try to randomize it. We'll do some dice rolls and see what kind of characters we come up with, and then we'll go from there. We'll build them out today. Now, I kind of filmed a video about making characters and stuff like that with the sheets in the Player's Handbook, but it was quite long. It took me like an hour and a half just to make a couple characters here. Kind of boring, so I'm just going to walk you through what I came up with. So I rolled D12 to find out the class and stuff like that, and then just kind of randomized it as much as I can using dice rolls and stuff like that. And we came up with a barbarian Goliath female who's got a soldier background. Her name is Sorcel Summerbreeze, and we might just call her Summer for short. She's going to be a barbarian. She's got a short bow. She's got a great axe. She's got 4 hand axes. She's got like savage attacker. She can utilize the rage and everything like that. We've got her kit, her build out all here. Now I'm going to try to keep track of the weight, the carrying weight and everything like that, as well as like food needs and everything. So she'll need like a pound of food a day to kind of stave off the malnutrition and all that stuff, as well as she needs 8 pints of water. What was good about her is she gets classified as a large instead of a medium character. Because of her background as a Goliath, she's like tied to a fire giant, so she gets this extra 1d10 fire damage we can utilize a couple times on top of attacks and stuff like that. So she's going to be our big hitter. She's going to have dark skin, red hair. She can carry up to 480 pounds. She's going to be kind of our pack mule until we can get an actual animal to carry all our loot and everything like that. And she can lift 960 pounds, which is pretty crazy. But again, she's giant kin. So I'm thinking maybe her background might be something like she's from the land we're going to be in. And then she's just kind of like, maybe she's outed by her tribe or something like that, and she's just working for coin, right? To be like a mercenary, a sellsword, a bit of a security, if you will, for our second character, who we rolled up a dwarf cleric acolyte, chaotic good, and his name's Golly Godsford. He's kind of a little weakling, right? He's got like a low AC here and stuff like that. Very slow on the initiative. But his thing's going to be just kind of like casting some spells and everything like that. Going to be doing some healing and stuff like that. Maybe creating water, curing wounds, right? He can utilize the command. He might be hanging out in the back and just trying to keep our big tank here alive as they work through their dungeon and stuff like that. And I'm thinking maybe his backstory is he's kind of leaving a new world, or he's leaving an old world to go to a new world, and maybe he's on some kind of a mission, right? Being like a cleric, he's trying to spread his religion or something like that. We'll iron it out later as we go. I need to plug them into a world though, and unfortunately with the Dungeon Master's Guide, there's not a whole lot of, like, they do have the Greyhawk world in there, which is nice, but I don't want to play in the Greyhawk world. I kind of want to make my own map and discover my own stuff, tales and adventures, and make the world directly from scratch. So we can set him off to the side for now. I'm going to have a little hex grid, and I copied down some stuff from the Dungeon Master's Guide from AD&D, the first edition, I believe. There's like so much stuff in there, it's pretty crazy. One of the things I saw, they had like a roll table to figure out what kind of landscape you're going to have to random generate a hex map. And I'm going to be utilizing that just to see what kind of a world we come up with, just with my dice and everything like that. And then we could draw and clean it up later. So let's go from there. So what I'm starting with here is I just kind of drew a little coastline coming around the way, and there's going to be a starting city. And this is all going to be like the sea, and my characters here, they sailed over to this new world, which is kind of like a fallen new world. It was once great. They had big kingdoms and all kinds of stuff going on there, but it's since fallen into like kind of decay and ruin. But there's still lots of great secrets and everything to be discovered in terms of like magic and all that kind of stuff. Highly populated with monsters, very dangerous kind of a deal. A lot of people are drawn to sail over from whatever the old world was to this new world, so that they can kind of make a name for themselves, make some coin. And I'm playing with the idea of like every 2 weeks or something, you know, ships kind of come here and they do trade with this city from over the way. But that would be the reason to come to this city and this land, is to make a name for yourself or try to make some coin if you can survive the dangerous wilderness that we're going to generate. So I just plopped a city down, I plopped the coastline. I'm thinking we just got to decide what our starting piece is going to be, and then from there we would start on whatever hex we're on, and you'd roll your d20, and then you'd come across, and let's say I rolled like a 12 or 13 and I was in a forest, I would get a scrub, right? And I'd write down the scrub, which is like kind of dead wood kind of thing, something like that. So we're going to generate this. I just have to decide what I want the starting little area to be. So to start out, I just planted a few little terrain around the city. So a couple hill hexes and a couple plains hexes, and then the rest we're going to random generate. So I'll get rolling up the way here. Got my d20. I'll start going up north, and let's build out this land out this way. So a 12. So I'm in the hills. I'm going to scroll down till I see the 12. So on a 9 to 14, we got more hills. So this is going to be more hills. Let's fill in this. What I could do is make more hills if I wanted, just because this is kind of full, right? But let's just see what we get. Maybe a 9. So again, hills, 9 to 14, more hills, right? So this hex gonna be hills. Let's fill in this guy. A 10. Lots of hills. Very hilly country. Let's go up to this hex. Boom. A 19. So we got a pond area. So this area might be like a little, maybe the water comes in here and makes a bit of a dip or a lake-ish kind of area, like it'll flow in, and which would make, like, we could almost dip this coastline in if we wanted and make this kind of peninsula stick out more prominently. That would make more sense being close to the lake there, or the sea. Let's come on up. So we were in hills 9, yet again more hills. And let's branch out to this one. We got a 4, a forest. Okay, so now we can branch off to here. Oh, that was not the best roll, but let's see. So we were in a forest and we rolled a 18. So now we have a marsh. And now let's fill in, let's go to this guy. So I'm thinking, let's go off the marsh roll here. So a 5 to 6, it's forest. Okay. Let's tuck on in here. We were in the forest. We rolled a 5, some more forest. $19. Sorry, I should have said I'm planning to go up here now. We have a pond. Okay. So let's say we were in the forest and we're going up to this hex. Forest is a 5, more forest. Kind of a wild area up here. Let's see if there's, maybe we'll say we started in the marsh and then we'll roll on the marsh table for this one. We rolled an 8 in the marsh table, which would give us hills. Okay, we're back to hills. And finally, let's see if this forest extends up to here. So forest on 15 is rough. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of the rolls for our map. And I'm just gonna kind of draw it out, visualize some stuff, and fill it in. Oh, sorry. I have to go through everything as well. With the, what is it? For the forest, there's a 1 in 10 chance it also has hills. And then for the hills, there's a 1 in 10 chance it also includes a forest. And for the mountains, there's a 1 in 20. It has a pass, which leads through the range. So I got to roll for those. And then I need to roll for habitation, or inhabitation, sorry. It's, I have to go through every individual hex and roll a D100. And based off these numbers, if I land within those ranges, right, we can find a single dwelling, a thorp, a hamlet, a village, a town, a city, or a castle, right? And then there's some other things I can roll on the D100 to find out what kind of a castle it is and who inhabits it and stuff like that, right? And then I have my little cheat sheets for, like, when we go to explore, if I get lost and all that stuff. But for now, we're going to inhabit this. I'm just running out of time a little bit. I do have to work tonight, so I might just leave this here for now, and this will be our hex. I might inhabit these hills and stuff like that with my rolls, and then make up the map, and then I can run us through the map when I go to make the next video. But that's kind of what our little session is for today. So I'll just run through this a little quick. I won't do the whole thing, but I'll just give you a visual of what I'll be doing here, right? So I'd start up in the corner here, or maybe, yeah, we'll just start up in the corner. We'd see if the plains are habited, right? So uninhabited is anything with a 17 and up. So I'm looking for anything from 16 and down is going to let me know that there's people kind of, this is a populated hex. So this top one on the plains, I do my roll. I have a 3. So this would be habited. Right off the hop. So we got the single dwelling on a 3. of a population of 1 to 12. So I don't know who's in here, but we can write a single dwelling up here. So there we go. We have our first populated hex all up in the corner. I don't know if we would ever travel up there to see whoever be living up there, up in the lonely forest and ponds and stuff, right? If let's say the pond, and if the pond is inhabited, I would go near the edges or put them into these other ones, right? So let's say the pond is a 21, that's uninhabited. The rough is a 16, so this is also inhabited. So that's pretty good. On a 16, we got with ruins, though. Okay, so I'm going to write ruins. And then on that ruins table, I have to roll again to find out what kind of a ruin it is. So I'm going to roll another D100. We got a 57. So 3160 is a city. We have a ruined city up here. So that's interesting. Could be all kinds of loot and everything like that. Maybe this guy lives up here. He's mooching off of this area, right? So let's just write this down really quick. But that could be something we come to explore later. Ruined city. How interesting is that, hey? And then we bring it on down in the forest. Is there anybody in the forest? A 91? No. Anyone in this forest? 74? No. Anyone in this rough? A 28? No. Anyone in the pond, around the pond? No. Anyone in the plains? 65? No. Anyone in these plains? 92? No. Anyone in the mountains? 100? Nope, nobody in the mountains. Anybody in the rough? 34? No. This depression? 97? No. This pond? 50? No. This depression? 71? No. This forest? 42, no. So then there's my whole first line done. And I basically do the whole thing like that. What else can we do? If I ever... I'll run you guys through the... So we'll look at these, right? So on a forest, it has a 1 in 10 to also include hills. So that's where we have our D10, right? Let's find a forested area. So boom, this forest has a 1 in 10 chance to also have hills, which it does not, right? I need to roll a 1 for it to have hills. So this has no hills. What about this forested area? 4 has no hills. And same thing, I would just kind of pick and choose pick my forest, my hills, my mountains, and I would roll on these two to help flush out the map better, which I'm going to do all off camera, and then I'll polish this up. We'll have a nice map to plug our characters into, and then we can almost start exploring this new world on the next little episode.